Hit that thumbs up button if you love Florida fall. What's going on, guys? I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. In this video, we are going to talk about that. That is going to dominate the weekend, especially the second half. We'll start to get a taste of it on Saturday in North Florida, and eventually that air trickles down to most of Florida, although the extreme southern tip going to miss out. Sorry, Miami. Sorry, Fort Lauderdale. I'll show you that in just 1 second. Then we're going to take you through the forecast. I'm going to show you the advancement of that cold front that will usher in the coolest air we have seen since late May. Next week, though, the weather is going to turn back to kind of more of a tropically feel as we get that wet and stormy pattern to return, some shenanigans crossing over from the Pacific into the Atlantic. So I'll break that down for you a little bit later on in the video, and I'll have the full tropical update as well. Before we get into the video, if you do want to stay updated on all things weather, you have to hit subscribe. Please do that. Hit that thumbs up, again, if you enjoy fall and if you find this content helpful. All right, so here's the big picture. You'll notice a couple of different things on the water vapor imagery. This kind of shows you what is going on throughout the country and the front that is advancing towards us. Here is our cold front. Again, we're looking in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, but the cold front is the surface feature that I'm drawing over here. Big upper low, you see it spiraling right around northern Minnesota. And that is driving in the cooler air that is advancing east of the Rockies and will arrive in North Florida later on in the day on Saturday, and then eventually by Saturday night into early Sunday morning through Central Florida. What you see out here is Tropical Storm Felipe. It's badly beaten up. It's still weak. It's still unorganized, although this system right here is going to kind of interact with Felipe and jog it right back in. So this one is actually going to come toward Maine and Nova Scotia as a post-tropical system. It'll likely lose its tropical characteristics as the two weather systems interact with each other in the next 24 to 36 hours or so just off the eastern seaboard of the United States. But as that happens, again, that reinforces that upper low, which drags that cooler air and kind of sends it in our direction. I wanted to show you Saturday first. There's 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, Tallahassee, Jacksonville. We're still in the 70s, maybe a few of us in the upper 60s. It's really once we get into Sunday, that's when the cooler air really starts to settle in. You can already see the preview of it. Look up here above the banner. That yellow, that's representative of that cooler air that's sliding through. So watch this. After a day in the 80s, it's still going to be pretty toasty on Saturday. You're going to wake up to temperatures in the mid to upper 50s towards interior north central Florida, low 60s in Ocala, upper 60s in Orlando. And then this is what I'm talking about. Still kind of warm towards Lake Okeechobee, points south towards Marco Island in Miami. Look at the high temperatures on Sunday. Upper 70s and low 80s through Central Florida. We're talking about low to mid 70s for highs in Pensacola, Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, Tallahassee through Jacksonville, Lake City, Gainesville. Very, very comfortable. No doubt the coolest air of the season. That is 100% window opening weather. Certainly a little warmer towards Central Florida, but nonetheless, it is still going to be a comfortable 80 degrees as that drier air pours in. And then look at this. Monday morning, this is the model forecast. I think Ocala, we're going to have a shot to wake up in the upper 40s, and then I think all right through here in between Cedar Key and Jacksonville, that includes Lake City, includes Gainesville, we can make a run for the upper 40s as well. You see Tallahassee getting down to the low 50s, Jacksonville upper 50s, and then there's where some of the warmth still stays. That's where that front doesn't quite make it just yet. Again, towards Fort Myers, Fort Pierce, Miami, certainly the Keys, we are missing out on this front. But really, everybody almost north of Lake Okeechobee, we are going to get in on some of the cooler air. I know Fort Pierce, we're a little bit north of there, but the front just stops. As you might imagine, with that cooler, drier air coming through, rain chances also going down. We still have the flow out of the east right now, so we are still going to bubble up these little downpours that we've had with us over the past few days that have kind of pushed in off the Atlantic, especially through Central Florida. Here you go, Friday, 7 o'clock, high school football looking great for most of the state. Waking up Saturday morning, again, a nice, refreshing start. This is still before the main front comes through, but it's still going to be a nice morning. There's 4 o'clock in your afternoon. You can see where the clouds are kind of oriented, just like this. The drier air then is filtering in right back through here. Just a few clouds out there. And then watch what happens as we move into Saturday evening. The clouds move further down here. That's about as far as the front gets, but then we have a ton of dry air building through the Panhandle, building through North Central and Central Florida, and that is going to continue. Again, that's what supplies us with that cooler air. So outdoor plans, if you've been putting those off because it's been so wet, now's an opportunity to get some things done this weekend, especially Sunday. Saturday's not going to be horrible. Stray shower in the mix. Temperatures will still be in the mid to upper 80s, but Sunday is going to be much more comfortable to be outside, even though they're both great. All right, so we're going to fast forward a little bit. We are going to look into the middle of next week. I know the timestamp says Saturday, but I want to show you something here. This little guy right here, this is going to be potentially a Pacific hurricane. I want to show you what happens with it, though. It gets caught up in the flow, and you see it flare up there. You saw a little eye there on the model, so it could get pretty strong on the west side of Mexico. So now we're looking at Monday morning. So while our front is supplying us with the coolest air we've seen since May, you can kind of see where the clouds are. Let me draw it out. Notice the clouds right there? There is our front. So let me back that up. I'm going to draw the actual cold front where it is. So as that system moves through central Mexico, it kind of latches on this front, and it uses that cold front that just delivered us the refreshing air as a pathway to kind of transport that leftover moisture from the Pacific side over to the Atlantic side. Now, there are a few ensemble members, not really any concrete model data really honing on tropical development, but there are a few ensembles that once that gets into Bay of Campeche and extreme southwest Gulf of Mexico, we could have some tropical development with it. A few of them are trying to bite on that like that's a possibility. At the very least, though, whether this is non-tropical, whether this does become something tropical, or whether it's just a blob of heavy rain, the weather's likely going to turn pretty unsettled again as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So you see Thursday morning, that's 3 o'clock. Look at all the rain sliding through out of the Gulf of Mexico. And again, this came from the Pacific side. There's your Thursday evening, and then there's once we get into Friday as well. Let me get back towards the day that I was trying to explain here, right through there. So there's 3 o'clock on your Thursday, and then I have it stopped at 8 o'clock on Thursday evening. So we do have the potential, if everything shakes out and that track holds with it, or coming over central Mexico, that storm in the Pacific, we could have a couple of washout days at the very least, depending upon timing, track, other things. And if it does become tropical or anything like that, then that's a whole other story. Again, there's not much bite to suggesting that there's going to be some tropical development. There's a few things hinting at it, but with that front there too, things could get weird and cheered up and everything, and we're going to watch that closely. But again, at the very least, it looks like we're going to turn the weather pattern from our nice, comfortable weekend that is about to happen to something potentially pretty ugly by the middle and latter stages of next work week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, let me know where you're tuning in from. If you found this content helpful and you love fall weather, some window opening weather coming to Central and North Florida, hit that thumbs up button, and we will catch you next time.